It's no secret Caitlin Clark's arrival to the WNBA has propelled the league to new heights. No matter what metric you want to look at, viewership, attendance, sponsorships, merchandise sale, media rights, the WNBA has set a record in it this year. And the league's growth isn't slowing down anytime soon either. For starters, the WNBA recently signed a new $2.2 billion media rights deal, 4 or 5 times more than the previous deal. They've increased the regular season schedule to 44 games per team starting next season, and there's going to be literal growth too, with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announcing the launch of 3 expansion teams in Golden State, Toronto, and Portland, set to begin play in the next 2 years.
Last time we gathered for the finals in 2023, we had just announced the Golden State expansion franchise. Since then, we have announced 2 more expansion teams to begin play in 2026. Toronto and Portland, with 1 more team to begin play by no later than the 2028 season to get us to 16 teams.
3 new teams is great for the league in general, but it still leaves 1 more expansion opportunity up for grabs. And while the WNBA says there are 10 to 12 cities vying for the league's 16th franchise, including St. Louis, Milwaukee, Jacksonville, Orlando, and Denver, there's a guy who's the face of an entirely different league who wants to use his influence to bring that expansion team to his adopted hometown. I'm talking about 3-time Super Bowl champion and 2-time MVP, Patrick Mahomes. While he might be known off the field as the guy with the Muppet-like voice and the face of more commercials than Flo, Patrick Mahomes is serious when it comes to sports franchise ownership. As a part owner in the NWSL's Kansas City Current, Mahomes told reporters last week why Kansas City is the perfect place to bring a WNBA team.
We want to get basketball to Kansas City in general, and then WNBA and the success that they've had this last season and these last few seasons, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, to try to get a WNBA team in Kansas City to this fan base. I mean, you see it if you talk about Kansas, University of Kansas basketball, the Chiefs, or whatever it is, the city of Kansas City is going to come out and they're going to fill the stadium. And so it was cool that we were able to get this women's soccer team here in the Current, and they're going into the playoffs now, and you see the support that they have. And so let's try to get a WNBA team in here as well, and kind of that same type of ownership group. And they've done the Current the right way, and I want to continue to work with them to take that next step and get a WNBA team here.
Now, Mahomes and his partners must put together a bid worth more than $50 million to make the numbers work. However, the group's pitch is focused mostly on their existing experience of starting and growing a pro sports franchise, highlighting how they've turned the Kansas City Current into one of the NWSL's premier franchises. Similar to Mahomes' quick rise to the top of the NFL, the KC Current only began playing matches in 2021, but they've quickly become one of the league's best ownership groups, helping the team reach the NWSL championship in just their 2nd season. They also constructed the first ever stadium built specifically for a women's professional soccer team, and now the Current bring in more annual revenue than any other NWSL team, at $36.3 million annually, according to Sportico. This has obviously caused the franchise valuation to skyrocket. The Current paid a $5 million expansion fee in 2020, but have grown to become the league's 2nd most valuable team at $182 million. It's facts like this that give Mahomes and his partners confidence that they can replicate this success for a WNBA franchise. The WNBA probably won't announce the league's next expansion team for another few months, and it's certainly no guarantee that Mahomes' star power will seal the deal for Kansas City to get the team, especially since KC would be the WNBA's smallest TV market by a wide margin. But more importantly, this proposal speaks to Mahomes' growing influence in Kansas City as the world's only athlete to hold ownership stakes in an MLB franchise, MLS team, and an NWSL club. Mahomes' NFL career is far from over, but he clearly has his sights set on expanding that portfolio down the line.
I always think I want to be involved in sports. I'm going to continue to build my business side of me and my entrepreneurship and everything I can to continue to build that way. But I want to always be involved in sports, and that's always been the first priority to me. But as I learn more and more, it's just awesome the different opportunities that you can have with the platform that I've been given and blessed with. And so I'm excited to keep learning more and more as I continue to grow and get a little bit older and have more knowledge.
Let's take things back to February of 2020. Harry and Meghan were taking a step back from the royal family. Love is Blind was proving that love is most definitely not blind. And the entire world was oblivious to the fact that they'd be trapped inside their houses for a year starting the next month. A 24-year-old Patrick Mahomes, though, had just won his first Super Bowl championship with a regular season MVP already under his belt, already being compared to the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. The Chiefs locked Mahomes down with a record-breaking 10-year contract extension worth $450 million. At the time, it seemed like an absurd amount of money in a sport that's all about hard-hitting contact. Not to mention the fact that Mahomes was just given the largest contract in North American sports history. However, what this move really did was give Mahomes long-term financial security, while also giving the Chiefs roster flexibility to go out and win more championships, which, of course, they did. 4 years later, Mahomes' unique contract has set the stage for a dynasty, with the Chiefs winning 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls and are currently sitting as the top betting favorite to become the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. But in that same 4 years, Mahomes has dropped down to the league's 13th highest paid quarterback, somehow earning less money than guys like Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa, and Kirk Cousins. This is what's become known as the Tom Brady model. No, not that Tom Brady model. The Tom Brady model in the NFL revolves around a player sacrificing a little bit of money on the front end, with the idea being that their team will use the additional money to sign better players around them to help them win championships. Those championships then increase your popularity as a player, enabling you to earn significantly more money through endorsements and post-career business opportunities than you would have if you hadn't have won championships. Seriously, do you think Mahomes would be hanging out with Tiny Troy in Head & Shoulders commercials if he didn't have a Lombardi or 2? The reason it's called the Tom Brady model, though, is because Brady was never the league's highest paid quarterback, despite arguably being the best player in the league for 20 straight years. But after retirement, Brady's resume and public profile helped him sign a 10-year, $375 million broadcasting contract with Fox Sports. Not only was that the largest sports broadcasting deal in history, by a mile, but Brady would receive more money from Fox than he earned throughout his entire 23-year NFL career. The Tom Brady model can be a tough sell to most NFL players because their contracts aren't guaranteed for injury, and there's never going to be a 100% certainty to win a Lombardi if you sacrifice your bank account for your teammates. It's like asking your employee to take less money in hopes that they might one day get a big promotion. But Patrick Mahomes isn't most NFL players, and this deal worked out pretty well for everyone. Not only is he the league's most popular player today, he's also been able to use his celebrity status to build one of the most impressive ownership portfolios in sports. Immediately after signing his record-breaking contract extension in 2020, Mahomes spent some of his new money on a minority stake in the Kansas City Royals. This wasn't exactly the Hail Mary of investments, but more of a check-down pass. Simple and sensible. Mahomes' dad is a former major league pitcher, and baseball has become one of the most stable investments in all of sports, with strong local viewership and packed stadiums all summer long. Mahomes then followed the Royals deal up with a string of other investments, including a stake in MLS club Sporting KC and the NWSL's Kansas City Current. Sporting KC is currently valued at $630 million, and that number will certainly increase over the coming years. But the bigger bet was on the NWSL. Mahomes and his wife were part of the founding team that paid just a $5 million expansion fee for a franchise that's now valued at $182 million, and could potentially be worth $1 billion in 10 years, according to some experts. These teams are all in Kansas City, which was very intentional on Mahomes' part, allowing him to maximize his influence. But let's also not forget about Formula One, as Mahomes was part of a group including Ryan Reynolds, Michael B. Jordan, Rory McIlroy, and Travis Kelce, who purchased a 24% stake in the Alpine Formula One team for $210 million. And they say Taylor Swift has a squad? Well, the Formula One investment should be another big winner, as all Formula One teams are now worth more than $1 billion after Liberty Media added a cost cap. Similar to a salary cap in American sports leagues, Formula One's cost cap limits how much teams can spend each year, which has made financial forecasting easier, and now each team is cash flow positive. Remember when I said winning Super Bowls helps bring more revenue opportunities? Well, I wasn't lying. Mahomes consistently earns more than any other player in the NFL today, bringing in $27 million in endorsements last year alone. That money came from deals with Adidas, State Farm, Boss, Coors Light, Oakley, Subway, Walmart, and so many more. I would need an entire separate video to list them all. Always smart about his money, though, Mahomes has taken those earnings to acquire equity stakes in other businesses, like Whataburger, Whoop, Hyper Ice, Throne Sport Coffee, and a Kansas City steakhouse he's opening with Travis Kelce. So if Mahomes can successfully bring a WNBA team to Kansas City, the fan base that already loves him will somehow love him even more. And while love and adoration are great, Mahomes could find himself as one of only a handful of athletes who become billionaires through professional sports. Most importantly, though, is Mahomes' belief in women's sports as a whole, as evidenced by his speech at the Time 100 Gala.
Tonight, I'd like to raise a glass to a new era in sports. An era when the women's game is finally getting the attention it deserves. For a long time, there was this well-meaning but patronizing idea
that you should care about the women's sports because that aligns with your values. And sure, there's some merit to that. But the real reason you should care about women's sports is because they're incredible. And just Google Asia Wilson's highlights and you'll see what I'm talking about. The talent, the narratives, the personalities. Women's sports has it all. And I think people are finally starting to figure that out. I'm proud of the part my family has played in this movement. As a co-owner of the Kansas City Current, my wife, Brittany, is working hard to grow women's soccer and broaden the path for the next generation for young athletes like our daughter. Last month, we kicked off the new season in a brand new stadium, the first in the world to be built specifically for a women's pro team. I feel very confident that investment will pay off in more ways than one.
Now, no matter what happens with Mahomes' various investments, he's clearly a guy who knows what he wants and does the work to get it. Will he hit the billion-dollar mark? Maybe or maybe not. But he's put himself in a prime position to reach a goal like that. Now, that's not too shabby for a guy who started his college career as a backup to Davis Webb.